I don't understand the world. Life is too dreary to endure. To be alive, an intolerably immense undertaking before which one can only gasp in apprehension. I must be weak. There must be a serious deficiency somewhere. That was Osamu Dazai, and this is Amreen. I finally read Dazai, No Longer Human, The Flowers of Buffoonery, The Setting Sun, and Schoolgirl. Those are the 4 novels that I read, and all 4 are heavily autobiographical, but they also feel seriously autobiographical. Osamu Dazai took his own life at the age of 39, so I wanted to know how this person chose to write his words, how he chose to create his characters and his stories. And by the end of the 4th novel, I was, for the lack of a better or worse word, crushed. I was crushed, just like his creation Yozo Oba from No Longer Human. It's his father's fault. The Yozo we knew was so easygoing and amusing, and if only he hadn't drunk. No, even though he did drink, he was a good boy, an angel. Osamu Dazai was a social outcast in the Japanese society, and his creation Yozo Oba is still a social outcast. So what happens when who you are gets refused? What frightened me was the logic of the world. In it lay the foretaste of something incalculably powerful, its mechanism incomprehensible. When who you are gets refused, you create characters like Yozo Oba, who dread human existence, companionship, emotions, where you lose faith even in your own ability as a human being. In The Flowers of Buffoonery, Dazai has written that we're all a bunch of clowns. In this one, the protagonist is Yozo again, and he says that real life is a realm he may never reach. And we read rejected authors and writers like Dazai just for that, just to hear that maybe real life is indeed a realm that we might never be able to achieve. If you think reading Osamu Dazai's novels is depressing, well, yeah, it is, because human suffering is depressing. The human condition is depressing. His novels and their themes, his characters, his deeply troubled and deeply disturbed characters and their inner voice, all of it has a melancholic nature. And sometimes it's so gloomy that it's almost comical. Whether that was intentional or not, I'm not sure. But do I find my worries amusing? Sometimes, yes, I do, when I have the courage to laugh about it. But mostly we cry. We cry, we vent, we lash out. And this brings to mind Peppermint Candy, a South Korean film that I watched last year about an unhappy, depressed man, much like Dazai and his characters. Now, this movie perfectly and so accurately shows that we humans are such fragile, vulnerable, and flawed creatures, but it also sheds light on how society can mess you up too. I envy those who are able to go through life simply in the midst of all the other weak, kind, and warm people like them. If it were possible to live my life without pain or hardship, then there would be no need to seek it out on my own. That would be best. Of course, only after reading his books did I realize something about his works. There is this underlying weight, W-A-I-T, weight, and he explicitly mentions it as well a few times in his books, like in Schoolgirl, which reads like a diary of a very young, very Yozo Oba-like character, and it covers only a single day. So in Schoolgirl, Dazai writes, he says something about waiting for happiness. Happiness will never come my way. I know that. But it's probably best to go to sleep believing that it will surely come. Tomorrow, it will come. And this is from The Setting Sun. In our lives, we know joy, anger, sorrow, and 100 other emotions. But these emotions altogether occupy a bare 1% of our time. The remaining 99% is just living in waiting. I wait in momentary expectation. Again, here he talks about waiting for the footsteps of happiness. Now, when you read Osamu Dazai, you realize that Just like his characters, even you want to make it to some non-existent summit. What's up there? What could it be? Our one remaining source of hope, however illusory. And please bear in mind that this, whatever I'm saying, is to get you into the distraught, depressed mind of Osamu Dazai and into the minds of his characters. His characters try so hard to make sense of their existence and maybe to even find an ounce of strength somewhere to go on living. It felt like Dazai was also trying to find answers. Of what kind, I'm not sure, but he was searching for something through the misery of his alienated creations. And I think that's why I read Dazai, to find out if he found any answers, a trick maybe to exist. I wish this were a cliffhanger, but it's not. Osamu Dazai, just like his Yozo Oba, the misfit and the anti-hero, was not pessimistic, was not delusional or misanthropic. He just saw his reality for what it really was at the time. And I'm dead sure that Osamu Dazai was a good boy, an angel.